I'm going to watch this video about the Epstein files because honestly, with the way people are talking about the Epstein files, I just want to make sure that I'm not on it. I want to make sure that like XQC and Asmongold aren't on this shit. So let's just double check. All right. Let's just make sure Hassan and Kaya aren't on this shit. The Epstein files is kind of going insane. I don't know how there was like 3 million new docs that dropped, and apparently like Jeffrey Epstein wanted to have sex with Freddy Fazbear, and he loved anime Yuri porn. Like what timeline are we living in where just everybody's a pedophile rapist? Like where are we at? Anyways, let's see what the fuck's going on here.
Just dropped 3.5 million files, and it is incredible. Huge bombshells about some of the most powerful people on the planet.
Guys, tell me Donald Trump and Elon Musk are not on the Epstein file. Tell me, there's no way. Bill Clinton, I can believe. Stephen Hawking, we're pushing it. And to be fair, to have Stephen Hawking is the guy in the fucking chair, right? That's not the author. No, that's Stephen King. Stephen Hawking might have been on Epstein Island, but maybe he was like an autopilot and he like didn't know where he was going. Yeah, you know, so the jury's still out. Let's actually see what the fuck's going on here.
I can't believe they let some of this stuff out. I mean, it is stunning. Honestly, one of the biggest lies we've seen is the idea that the FBI could possibly come to us and say, not only is there not a client list, there was no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals. Guys, we're about to see planned blackmail to one of the most powerful people on the planet, and that is Bill Gates. Listen, there's a lot we're gonna get to, but we have to start with probably the craziest revelation here, which is Jeffrey Epstein emailing himself about Bill Gates. Now, if you don't know, Bill Gates and Epstein had a relationship post 2008. That's a big year. You're gonna hear
like relationship is in like sex, or they were friends.
Hear a lot today, because 2008 was the time that Epstein pled guilty for soliciting of somebody under the age of 18. He was a predator at this point. Everybody knew it. Now, eventually, Bill Gates would get divorced when all of this came out. Melinda Gates said it was part of the direct cause for the divorce. She said she met Epstein and said he was evil.
I would say fucking a kid is a pretty reasonable ground to get a divorce. So I'm going to say W to that woman. I feel like that's pretty fair.
He was evil personified.
So you have to understand, this is like Bill Gates' kryptonite. He's one of the richest men on the planet. He's got this huge philanthropy arm. But this relationship with Epstein has been a huge problem for him. And Epstein appears to have known that, because in 2013, Bill Gates appears to be distancing himself from Jeffrey Epstein. And Epstein seems to have a problem with that. He says, I assume the dedication to our relation went both ways. Larry has now asked me to recommit to a confidentiality agreement. Basically, he's got to shut up about his relationship with Bill Gates. And this is where the blackmail starts. And it comes in the form of like, if I were you, I would do X if I were the type of guy that you should be. He says, in that regard, I suggest I buy you the house that you had your heart set on. In addition to 5 years of severance, we'll buy you out of the investment contract we agreed upon, 30 to 40% on a $100 million partnership for $30 million in today's terms. That's what I would have done had I been in your shoes. Then he lays out what he has on Bill Gates, or what he says he has. Quote, to add insult to injury, you subsequently, with tears in your eyes, implore me to delete the emails I had regarding your STD. Your request that I provide you antibiotics that you could surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your I mean, this is insane. It's completely insane. It's like basically laying out in text form.
Guys, I'm going to give a hot take to all the very powerful people on this earth. I think women are way hotter when they're above the age of 20. Yep, I'll say it. I know. Hot take to Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Jeffrey Epstein. I think women are way hotter when they're above 20.
I would give me millions of dollars. And I can't believe you're asking me to delete the message where you were going to give STD medication to your wife. Without her knowledge. I mean, it's complete.
That's crazy.
It's just completely obvious what he's doing here. It's just a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Here's what you should do. But now that coming out after Epstein's death, this looks really bad for Gates, obviously, because you usually wouldn't blackmail somebody for something that's completely false or fake. I mean, maybe he did that. But we also know Bill Gates had affairs. Obviously, Melinda credits it for their divorce. So it's hard to believe there was nothing sketchy going on. Bill Gates, of course, maintains that it was completely above board. He says the fact this allegation was in here just shows how much Epstein was willing to defame people. But Epstein lays it out. He says he helped Bill get drugs in order to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls, facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, and to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments. Look, guys, This is exactly what we suspected the whole time. Epstein was providing services to rich people.
Yeah, but what if Epstein was actually just some fucking psycho nut that just lied? Has anybody ever considered that? What if Epstein was just lying for like blackmail just to make sure that nobody snitched on him? I don't know, bro. I can see a lot of angles of this right now. You know, I'm not really going to doubt that the child fucker might have also lied. So I'm at least willing to hear people out with their defense, but we'll see.
And expecting payment via blackmail. Now you might say, and it's true, that we don't know that Epstein ultimately sent that version of an email to Gates. All we know is he sent that to himself. He may have planned the blackmail and just been drafting something. But what we do know are two things. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Gates was threatened by Epstein over an affair. Okay. We also know that after this blackmail email Jeffrey sent to himself was written, eventually Gates sent a $2 million donation to MIT directed by Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, that's pretty bad. Oh no. Okay, I will say that does look pretty bad.
Which is a bit weird if you had distanced yourself from the guy and y'all had this big falling out. Now again, do we know for sure that Bill Gates did all of that? No, of course not.
No, of
but
course
do I
not.
think Bill Gates was innocently looking for charity advice from a after he already pled guilty? No, I don't. I'm sorry, I'm not that gullible. And speaking of not that gullible, we've been lied to also by another richest guy on the planet. Geez, it's a shock why they don't want to put this out.
Elon, I'd have your back, man, but I'm going to be real, bro. I asked for a Tesla and you wouldn't fucking give me one. So I had to buy a Tesla with my own fucking money, bro. You are a piece of shit. What? Hey. You should have hooked me up with that fucking Cybertruck, buddy.
Musk, who has been saying for years that it is a lie that he went to Epstein's island. In fact, he says he refused to go. From Elon, he says, Epstein tried to get me to go to his island. I refused. He says, anyone pushing this false narrative deserves complete contempt. Later responding to another headline, which said Elon Musk planned trip to Epstein's private island. And he says, this is false. But of course, we start to dig through the files and we can see on Epstein's calendar that Elon Musk is booked in December 6th of 2014. But maybe you don't believe that. That's just the word of Jeffrey Epstein. But maybe you'll believe the word of Elon Musk, who was caught emailing Jeffrey Epstein to go to his island post the guilty plea. Elon Musk.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Bro. Holy fucking caught in 8K. Bro. Elon, you shoulda just gave me a fucking Cybertruck, bro. I can't sweep for you anymore, man. I can't sweep. No more sweeping. No more sweeping for Elon Musk, bro. Oh, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
Writes, will be in BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Good time to visit. Jeffrey Epstein says, I will send a heli for you.
Oh.
Later, Elon Musk writes to Epstein, probably just to Lula and me, his ex-wife, what day night would be the wildest party on your island? The world's richest man is asking the most pedophile man for the wildest party on his island. And then it gets...
By the way, was there confirmation that these emails are real? I just want, does anybody know, are these emails confirmed to be real? I'll look into them more. I'm going to operate underneath the pretense that these are real currently. I'm going to look into this more.
More explicit. In 2012, remember, this is the guy who said, I refused it. I could never do that, right? It's false. But here in 2012, he says, do you have any parties planned? I've been working to the edge of my sanity this year. I really want to hit the party scene in St. Bart's or elsewhere and let loose. The invitation is much appreciated, but a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what I'm looking for. Guys, he can't even play the I went to go study math excuse, which is what all these guys do. They say, hey, I just went to go talk to scientists. Elon's like, hey, I don't want to do that. I'm looking for a party. That's what I'm here to do. And then Jeffrey...
Hey, man, I'm not going to lie, bro. It's a pretty bad look to look for a party on Pedophile Island, bro. That's not good, bro. That's rough. Hey. That is not a good look.
Epstein writes, understood.
And I have a feeling these aren't pizza parties.
I will see you on St. Barth. The ratio on my island might make your ex-wife uncomfortable. I can't believe these guys are lying to us and people are swallowing it still, thinking that Elon Musk had nothing to do with this guy. So again, that's 2012. That's 2014. But guess what? There's another time in 2013. I mean, this seems like a yearly thing with the boys. Here, once again, Elon Musk writes, we'll be in the BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Again, is there a good time to visit? Jeffrey Epstein, any day, 1st to the 8th, play it by ear if you want, always space for you. They then plan some more, and you might think, well, if Elon ever told the truth, this is when he has to reject, right? Because he said, I refused. But actually, it appears to be one of those cases where, like, your friend says, like, oh, bro, I dumped her. And actually, it was the other way. Yeah, it turns out Elon didn't dump the the dumped Elon.
Oh, no! Damn, bro, you got rejected by the fucking Prince pedophile? Holy shit. Bro wasn't even cool enough to fuck. Well, I was going to say something crazy. That would have been a bad clip. Nah, that's crazy, bro. Bro is too autistic to be invited to the islands, bro. A vibe rapist, bro. Holy shit.
He says, bad news. Unfortunately, my schedule will keep me in New York. Hopefully, we can schedule another time in the future. Jeffrey Epstein let Elon down. That's actually the real story.
That's nuts.
Is the reason he didn't go in 2013 was because he couldn't go. Jeffrey Epstein was not here. Guys, I mean, how blatant do they have to make it before we start to just see through it, right? When they issue these ridiculous denials, they're totally associated with the guy after the guilty plea. They lie through their teeth, but they can't even keep their story straight. I mean, that's what's crazy. They're not even competent at this. They get caught in their own lies all the time. Remember, the FBI's official story was they didn't blackmail. Well, before we even had these files, Howard Lutnick was on the record calling Jeffrey Epstein the greatest blackmailer ever.
So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
no, they participated.
Right.
That's what his MO was, you know, get a massage, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Interesting. Okay, so Howard has a different perspective. Now, if you don't know, that guy, do you think he's just telling the truth there? Even this guy who's contradicting the official narrative, this guy literally lived next to Jeffrey Epstein. This guy who's like, I'm going to tell the truth. Those guys participated. That guy lived next to Jeffrey Epstein. And by the way, he lied too. I love this video we're about to get into because this guy, Mr. He's the greatest blackmailer ever, does he know something we don't know? Because it's interesting, Mr. I'm his neighbor had to also explain how he had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And he lays it out pretty simply. He goes, yep, I lived next to him, but in 2005, I had such a horrible experience that I knew I could never talk to him again.
The only thing that I really don't like about everything involving the Epstein case is this is one of these things where so much misinformation has been put out and so much real information has been put out. It's almost impossible to distinguish the two from each other. So it's very hard to have a concrete opinion on anything involving the Epstein files. Not to mention, it's pushed by a lot of the most bad faith actors to like kind of take away anything that's been good happening with our country. And it's just the water is very muddied. It is hard to know what's real and what's fake because people have put out so much fake info. And that's the problem with fucking social media is that people can't wait for the bad guy to be incriminated. No, they have to push out false info so nobody knows what the fuck's going on. Right? Because like how many false info dumps have we seen put out for Jeffrey Epstein? And so now when what appears to be legitimate information is being put out right now, it's still hard to take it seriously. I'm assuming right now, even you all, it's not clear. You don't know where you stand. You don't know what you think. And even me, I don't know what to think because there's too many bad actors. It's hard to take any real issues seriously because everybody's lying.
He was your neighbor for 10 years. How well did you know him?
We move in 2005, okay? Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like 08, I think, or something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on like a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. And there's a massage table in the middle of the room. Massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he like gets like weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks
Either this is the world's greatest liar or I believe him. This story is way too real.
at me, and I look at her,
Yeah, that's not a massage table. That's a milking table.
and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Well, he couldn't be more clear, could he, right? He says, hey, I may have been his next door neighbor, but I met him once before the 2008 guilty plea. Remember I said that was a big deal? And we got invited over, and it was like 5 seconds, and we left, and we realized he was a creep. We were out of there. He made this rude, lewd comment in front of my wife. I would never go see
that's
this guy.
crazy, bro.
Makes it super clear he's gross.
So I was never in the room with him.
Encouraging a man to get jerked off by a minor in front of his wife is insane work.
Socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
These other guys, they may have participated,
They participated.
but Howard Lutnick, he could never. No, he's too good of a guy. Well, guess what we found in the...
Stop. No shot. There is no way.
All emails. Looky. It's Howard Lutnick writing in to Jeffy Boy in 2012. Hi, Jeff. We're landing in St. Thomas early afternoon, planning to head over. Where are you located? What's the exact location for my captain? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? Is this the guy you said made a lewd comment to your wife and, oh, I could never be in front of him. He's gross. Guess what the next email is? My boy's wife messaging in, saying we're headed towards you in St. Thomas. Later, the subject line, Jeffrey Epstein. Good morning, Howard. Jeffrey wished me to pass you along. Nice seeing you. They clearly met, and the guy is just lying about it to your face, to the American public's face, and they tried to hide it from us. I cannot emphasize this enough. They're lying through their teeth. You think this guy perfectly remembers a 2005, like walking in the guy's house? I remember exactly what I said to him. My wife and I looked at each other, and he wouldn't remember the 2012. I boated over to his private island for a dinner.
Oh my God.
Is that what we're really thinking? Is that what we're expected to believe? This is a momentary lapse in his judgment. No, these guys don't even care about being consistent. And they're all throwing each other under the bus. Don't you remember Elon Musk saying the time to drop the really big bomb? Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they haven't been made public.
I remember that.
You also are in the Epstein files, very clearly doing stuff you lied about, okay? So is Howard Lutnick, who says, yeah, Bill Gates, he's probably getting blackmailed because he participated. What did you do on the island over in 2012, Howard? Do we know that? I mean, does anyone care? Now, the last thing I want to talk about is some of the most explosive stuff. It's also, again, I have to say, unverified, okay? This is the NTOC, the FBI's
Here's the thing that doesn't make any sense to me. If Trump is so blatantly in the Epstein files, right? Why didn't Obama release them? I am just curious. What was their defense for why they didn't just release these earlier? Because the Dems were in the files too? Oh, because Clinton was in it, right? Because they're in it too? Okay, so are we just underneath the assumption that America is just run by a bunch of pedophiles? Everyone's in it. Both sides are in on it. Jesus Christ. I'm not in the Epstein files, right? Like, there's just no way, right? Oh my God, bro. As long as Oprah's not in it, I think I'll be okay.
National Threat Operations Center. And the challenge with confirming some of this is that these are anonymous tips, or they black them out at least, so we don't know who they are, and anyone can drop a tip. Now, that doesn't mean that you should disregard.
There's no way Oprah is in the Epstein files. There's no way Oprah is. Oprah? The woman who just gives people free cars? The nicest black woman of all time? There's no way. She's a main Oh my God, bro. They got Oprah.
Regard them. It just means we can't verify them. The other challenge is that the FBI has a heavy incentive to discredit anything with Donald Trump in it, just because he's in the White House right now,
Of course.
obviously. And so I want to be clear, there are notes related to some of these submissions where they say things like complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate redacted. You know, it's hard to tell how much this is the proper due diligence of the FBI,
Sure.
which they should be doing, of course, and not all complaints are credible. But also there's this obvious conflict of interest with the fact that the sitting president is in some of these complaints. But here they are for what it's worth. Complaint summary. Blank reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend also said she was abused by Epstein. Later, there's very explosive claims about big parties with her, other younger girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. There's claims third hand about a female victim of Epstein's who wants to publish a book citing Leslie Wexner, Epstein, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell is in the videos as well. And it goes on like this for a while. Some of the complaints are just like very graphic, and obviously I'm gonna censor out some of it. But I should also mention the DOJ claims that some of these claims were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election.
Definitely not a good look. Not the best look. Really not the best look.
To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had any shred of credibility, they would have certainly been weaponized against President Trump already. Now, I agree that if a complaint is timed right before an election, there definitely could be some other motivations to that.
Of course.
But it's also ridiculous to say that anything in the Epstein files, if it were true, would have come out already. Because why didn't we see the stuff about Bill Gates, for example? I mean, that stuff apparently has been sitting in here for a long time. And not only did no one talk about it, the FBI literally covered for it. I mean, they said that this was not the case. There are big claims against a lot of powerful people. Nobody in that file really wants to rock the boat or release the files because then they get in trouble and their buddies get in trouble. And that's a huge problem. So I don't really buy the idea that, oh, if it were true, it would have already gotten out. I don't buy that. That's why we need transparency.
I do understand that narrative, but what I think we all really need to do is we need to publicly ostracize people who are pushing out fake information, making it harder to take the real information seriously. Because I think that's been the biggest discourse in all of this, is knowing what's real and what's fake.
That's why it's important these files are out. But this is just a look at a small fraction of the files. And over the next few weeks, we're gonna go through all of the major findings we can from this 3.5 million page document dump. But seriously, think about how discrediting this has been, not only to this administration, but to so many rich and powerful people who have lied through their teeth happily towards you in order to hide their relationship with this man that many of them held post-guilty plea. And some of them, now we know, Epstein prepared blackmail for them and, according to reports, threatened.
Yeah, nah, that's crazy, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that's fucking nuts. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, I have also experienced a lot of people who say, oh, we never talked, we were never tight, we were never friends. Even with my ass, bro, people are very quick to burn bridges to save face, but people will say or do anything to save their own skin, and that's the reality. Guys, this shit, it's messy. It really is.